Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here at the News 12 Now desk. I'm Kayla Lopez, and we're going to be doing a little live stream here because the FEMA chief is coming to Augusta today, is in Augusta right now, and we'll be speaking alongside the mayor, giving some updates on Helene recovery. So that should be getting started here. I was told it would start at right about 2 o'clock, so that's what we're waiting on. But again, if you're just now sort of joining into the stream, the director of FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, is in Augusta today to give some updates on the response to Hurricane Helene. So there will be a news conference that's supposed to begin at 2. So as soon as that gets started, we'll go ahead and pull that up for you guys. But also along Mayor Garnett Johnson, and they're just going to be kind of, I believe they were surveying some of the impact, and they're going to be giving us some updates on that relief. So again, we're just waiting on them to go ahead and get started. It should be getting started any minute now, and it looks like they might be getting started here now. Let's check in and see.
Good afternoon, everybody. We'll give everybody a moment to assemble. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the presence of our FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Sorry for these circumstances, but your ongoing support and commitment to our recovery efforts here in Augusta, Richmond County, we're very grateful, and thank you so much. Today we will begin providing critical updates to our response efforts to Hurricane Helene. This storm has left a lasting impact on our community, as you can imagine. And while we have made significant progress, there's still much to be done. In a few moments, you will hear from our Administrator, Tamika Allen, Chief Burden, Administrator Criswell, who will provide further details on the respective areas. Following these remarks, we will open up the floor for your questions. Today marks day 27 since Hurricane Helene has devastated our city. In the wake of this catastrophe event, nearly all of our residents were left without power, more than 95% of our residents. Still, many remain without internet, and cell service to this date still remains to be spotty in some areas. Thousands of homes and properties sustained significant damage, and tragically, some of our fellow Augustans lost their lives. Our thoughts and prayers remain with these families and the loved ones that have been affected by this tragedy. From the moment the storm passed, our dedicated first responders were on the ground working tirelessly to provide relief to those in need. And I want to take this moment to thank our first responders and many of our employees that have been working alongside us since the beginning of this tragedy. As we've concluded immediate relief efforts and transition to long-term recovery, I want to provide some updates on the work being done to restore our community. Debris removal. Our contractor series continues to focus on the initial surge and the most heavily damaged areas. The priority remains clearing roadways where access to public safety with a focus on main corridors. The contractor is also coordinating closely with the Augusta Utilities Department to clear debris that is obstructing repairs to our critical infrastructure. We currently have 3 debris management sites in operations in Augusta, Richmond County. One's at Eisenhower Park, the second at Fleming Park, and the third at Lake Olmsted Stadium. These sites help reduce hold times to increase our daily production. However, we must ask residents, this is very important, to avoid visiting these sites for safety reasons, and that's to allow these trucks to enter and leave these sites so they could make it a more productive effort to remove the debris. Heavy machinery is constantly in use, and these present potential dangers for those that are traveling our roads. For those working in the cleanup of their properties, we also ask that you please separate vegetative debris from construction and demolition debris. This is important. As I've ridden around the city, I know that there are a lot of wooden fences that have been affected by this storm, but we ask that as you remove that debris from your yards that you please separate it to make sure that our debris removal companies can have that debris separated so we could receive our full reimbursement. Mixing the two will significantly slow down the removal of the process, as I mentioned. Once we complete the vegetative debris collection, further guidance will be issued on all other types of debris. As of today, we have removed more than 408,000 cubic yards of debris from our streets, and that is a huge number. Our crews have removed 97 hanging limbs and taken down 4 hazardous trees. We currently have 80 haul units and 3 bucket trucks in operation, with more equipment arriving almost daily. On average, we're removing more than 24,000 cubic yards of debris, which is a huge number. To put this in perspective, during the ice storm more than 10 years ago, we collected 875 cubic yards of debris, and to date, we're at half of that. So we estimate Hurricane Helene will generate more than 2 million cubic yards, meaning we have a significant amount of work ahead. So we continue to ask you to please be patient. I'm gonna repeat that, please be patient. This is a once-in-a-lifetime storm for our area, so it's certainly gonna take us some time to recover, and this is gonna be a long recovery process. Yesterday, our Disaster Recovery Center, we call it our DRC, processed 326 applications, bringing the total number of registrations to 60,555. We know that many of you are still dealing with the fallout from this storm, and I want you to assure you that help is here and help is available, not only for the city of Augusta, but from our state partners with GEMA and our federal partners with FEMA. We're committed to rebuilding our community stronger and better than before. And we continue to be supported by FEMA, our local agencies, our state agencies, and we will recover from this. So we thank you again for being here. Thank you for your attention today. And now I'll hand it over to our Administrator Tamika Allen, to provide more details on our local response efforts. Thank you, guys.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start by thanking our FEMA Administrator, Ms. Deanne Criswell, again. We cannot thank FEMA enough for all of the assistance. We cannot thank them enough for being here today and for FEMA's continued support as we work toward our recovery. The leadership and the resources provided by FEMA have been invaluable. Again, I must say invaluable in these challenging times that we are facing. I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of our city employees and essential workers, our first responders, our school and transit bus drivers, our school nutrition workers who made sure that our first responders were fed during this time, and everyone else who played a vital role in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Their hard work and dedication made it possible for us to respond quickly and effectively, and we could not have provided the level of relief we did without their efforts. We do not want their contributions to go unacknowledged. Now, I'd like to provide a brief update regarding our city services as we continue to make progress. I am happy to report that our utility systems are functioning normally. If you do encounter any leaks that may have been missed, please report them to Augusta Utilities at 706-842-3060. Again, 706-842-3060. We are also working closely with officials to clear debris from our canal so we can make sure that we stabilize its banks to prevent further issues. Our trash services are operating on their normal schedule. However, as the mayor spoke before about, please make sure that you do not mix your debris with the actual trash cans, as it may interfere with the mechanical arm used for our pickups. If your trash pickup is missed, please report it, and we will send a hauler to address it. Again, our main number for any concerns is 311. At this time, recycling services are temporarily paused. We will notify residents as soon as we are ready to resume the service. Westview Cemetery and Cedar Grove Cemetery sustained minimal damage. However, Magnolia Cemetery has some damaged areas and roads that are very difficult to access. We are currently working with our FEMA team to receive guidance on how to best address this area. I am pleased to announce that today marks a major milestone. I want you to hear this, a major milestone. All of our traffic signals in Augusta, Richmond County are now operational. Our traffic engineering team is now moving into the next phase, and that is restoring signal timing. So we're asking that you be patient. If you're stopped at a light and it seems to be taking a while before it turns green, we are working on that now. Making sure that the communication across the system gives you smooth traffic flow. Again, our 311 system remains available to address any non-emergency concerns. We understand the increased call volume during this time, so again, we ask for your patience and your grace when you're making those calls. In closing, I want to reiterate our commitment to restoring Augusta and supporting our residents as we continue the recovery process. Together, we will rebuild and emerge stronger from this challenge. Again, together, we will rebuild and emerge stronger from this challenge. Thank you, and with that, I will now turn it over to our FEMA Administrator, Deanne Criswell.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's been quite the month for the people here in Augusta. Hurricane Helene came through just over a month ago, and as I have traveled many of the states that have been impacted, I still am shocked at how much destruction came inland from a hurricane that made landfall in Florida. And I was here in Georgia early on visiting the Valdosta area. I had an opportunity to fly over the Augusta area, see the damage. But I had a good opportunity today to talk with the mayor and his team about what their concerns are now that we are moving into the long-term recovery phase. I also had an opportunity to visit the Disaster Recovery Center earlier today, where I saw so many families in there getting assistance. And what the Disaster Recovery Center is there for is to help provide that one-on-one work with your case, to help make sure that we're getting everybody that has been impacted all of the stuff that they need and that they deserve and that they're eligible for. I would ask that if you have not registered for assistance yet, there is still time to register for assistance. You can either go to the Disaster Recovery Center, you can go to disasterassistance.gov, or you can call 1-800-621-FEMA, or you can go to the FEMA app. We also have teams that are out in the communities going door to door. We call them disaster survivor assistance teams. They will have a FEMA shirt on, they will have a FEMA credential. If you have not registered and you see one of them, they can help you register. Or if you have registered and you have a question about your case, they can help you figure out what paperwork you might still need to submit in order to continue processing whatever resources you'll be eligible for. We've been on the ground here in Georgia since before Hurricane Helene actually made landfall. We positioned some of our leadership team in the state EOC so we could direct resources as needed. We pre-positioned search and rescue resources across the region so they could move into the areas that were impacted the most. And we also moved commodities, food and water, into the region. And then after the storm made landfall, we're able to move those into the communities at the direction and the request of the state. We are going to continue to remain here on the ground. We have our joint field office, which is where we work with our state partners. It'll be located in the Atlanta area, but we have a branch office here that will be here throughout the recovery process. Just for a couple of numbers right now, the total number of federal personnel on the ground is close to 800, and the majority of that are personnel from FEMA, but we also have the Army Corps of Engineers and EPA, SBA that are here on the ground helping people. There's 9 DRCs across the state, 1 right here in Augusta. There's 4 more that are in the works that are going to be open in the next days and weeks. We also have mobile disaster recovery centers that continue to go around into areas that were impacted, again, to try to bring our services to the people in case they can't get to one of the existing fixed locations. I talked about our disaster survivor assistance teams. We have over 200 people that are out either canvassing in the neighborhoods or helping to support our mobile disaster recovery centers or our fixed facilities. And 2 of those teams are here in Augusta, helping to support people getting into the system or reviewing their cases. Just a couple more numbers. Overall, across Georgia, we have over 333,000 individuals that have already registered for assistance, and we've given out over $159 million to people to help them with their recovery needs, but that number will go up. Some of this is just the initial payments that we gave to individuals. As we understand what damages they have to their homes, we get the insurance paperwork of what they did or did not cover. We've had an inspection to determine the amount of damage. This numbers will go up and people will continue to get additional funding into their bank accounts to help them on this road to recovery. As I talked to the mayor and his team earlier, we are here for the long haul. We are here and going to be with everybody in this community as we think about what the future can look like. We see these tragic incidents, but as I mentioned to the mayor, we also have an opportunity to build back stronger and build back more resilient as well. And so as we look to assist in repairing some of the damages to the critical infrastructure, we want to have a conversation on how do we do that in a way that it can withstand a future event that would be similar to this one, because what we don't want is to have another event come through and we didn't take the opportunity to make it stronger and better. And so I gave the mayor my commitment that we will be with him through this and help him through that. We'll have our permanent office here, branch office here in Augusta. We'll be working side by side with his team as he understands more about the direction of the long-term recovery and what we can do to help the people of Augusta. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to begin by expressing our deep gratitude to our federal, state, and local partners, especially FEMA and our fire administration, for their rapid and ongoing support. Their coordination has been crucial in launching our recovery efforts after Hurricane Helene, ensuring that we can address immediate needs and lay the groundwork for long-term rebuilding. Hurricane Helene has caused significant and widespread damage throughout Augusta, affecting homes, businesses, and critical infrastructure. The storm's intensity left a lasting impact on our community, but we've already begun the recovery process with the full support of FEMA, which has been instrumental in helping us navigate this complex situation. Our recovery efforts are in full swing, with FEMA and local agencies working tirelessly to assess the damage, provide financial aid, and deploy essential resources. Damage assessments are ongoing, and FEMA is actively coordinating with us to streamline disaster assistance applications for residents. Our goal is to ensure that everyone who has been affected receives the help they need, whether it's financial assistance, housing, or other forms of support. We're also focused on infrastructure restoration, working with FEMA and state officials to prioritize utility repairs, road clearances, and the rebuilding of essential services. This partnership has been vital in addressing the most immediate concerns while planning for long-term recovery efforts. Although we've made progress, there is still work to be done. Ahead, one of our top priorities is to expedite debris removal and accelerate the restoration of power and clean water in our hardest hit areas. Additionally, we're working with FEMA to expand temporary housing options for displaced residents and to ensure that small businesses receive the necessary financial assistance to reopen. We encourage all residents to take advantage of FEMA's disaster relief resources and to report any ongoing issues so we can address them swiftly. The resilience of Augusta community has been truly inspiring. Our first responders, our volunteers, our neighbors have all come together with the incredible determination to help rebuild. This recovery is not something we face alone. Our partnerships with FEMA and local agencies and volunteers will continue to drive our efforts forward as we tackle the next phases of recovery. I want to also remind residents that if your home was damaged during Hurricane Helene and you have broken or damaged smoke detectors, as a result, please contact Fire Administration Headquarters at 706-821-2929. That's 706-821-2929 for replacement assistance. And in closing, as we continue to move through this recovery, I want to ensure everyone that Augusta Fire EMA is committed to seeing this through. With the ongoing support of FEMA and our state and local partners, we are confident in our ability to overcome the challenges ahead and rebuild a stronger Augusta. Together, we will ensure that every need is met and that our city emerges more resilient than ever. Thank you.
All right, guys, we have a few minutes for some questions. All right, yes, ma'am.
Madam Administrator, question for Paul. You've seen the magnitude and the extent of the damage in the CSRA in Augusta and across the river, South Carolina. FEMA has certain time guidelines for government reimbursements. Is there a mechanism to extend that given the size of the cleanup? North Augusta is estimating before they get it up all.
Yeah, I mean, different programs have different timelines. I think as far as like the debris removal right now, there's no timeline to get the debris removed. I know that we have granted Georgia 90 days of 100% reimbursement for debris removal right now, but we can continue to do debris removal, you know, as long as it takes, right? And our goal is to be working with the communities every step of the way as they're still doing these emergency measures to clear and stabilize, but also as we start the rebuilding.
Quick follow-up. Rumors, misinformation, disinformation, and threats. How does that impact FEMA's ability to do its job?
You know, it creates unnecessary noise in the work that needs to be done. Our focus should be on the people. The great people here of Augusta that have been impacted so terribly by Hurricane Helene. I want to make sure my staff can put all of their time and energy into helping them on their road to recovery and not have to deal with some of the unnecessary noise and sound bites that are out there.
Any other questions, guys? If not, we certainly appreciate you guys.
I don't know if this is for Chief Burke or Administrator, but you mentioned that you were working with FEMA to expand temporary housing options for displaced residents. What does that plan look like right now? I don't know if y'all have any works right now.
Let me just talk about our programs. Yeah, so we have a suite of programs that can help support communities because we know that everybody's situation is different and unique to them. Right now, we have rental reimbursement if somebody is incurring costs, or we have displacement assistance if somebody has incurred costs as a result of being temporarily displaced from their homes. We're working with the state on our additional programs that will help support some of the longer-term temporary housing options. And we have a number of tools and resources that we can do with that. But we need to work with the state to identify which path that they want to take and create the best option to support the people of Georgia.
Sorry, another question. Just compared to other parts of the state or other parts of the country affected by Helene, what is damage like here at this point?
Yeah, I mean, they've all been a little bit different, right? As I was talking with the mayor and his team earlier, you know, when you look at Hurricane Helene, where it hit in Florida, they were 28 feet of storm surge, and so their damage is really from that mass of the water that came in. Here across Georgia, the majority of the damage is wind damage. There is some rain damage, but a lot of the force of the wind knocking down trees into homes is really what we're seeing across Georgia. And then when you look at Appalachia, what we're seeing is they just had an intense amount of rain and a rate of rainfall that was a lot per hour, which created that flash flooding impact. And so, you know, every state has a different type of impact, but for that individual and that homeowner, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they've lost their home, they've lost their belongings, they're temporarily displaced. And that's why we bring all of our programs to bear to make sure that we can give each family what they need for their specific situation.
Can you speak on any plans to open more DRCs around the state?
Yeah, so right now there's 4 more in the plans. We have 9 right now and 4 more that are planned, and I think our target is 20. And while we're working up to that target, that's why we have the mobile disaster recovery centers, that they can move around, but also our disaster survivor assistance personnel that actually canvass and walk the neighborhoods and talk to people. Sometimes they just go to grocery stores and, where people are going to be, right? And we can reach as many people as we can.
Last question.
So I had a question for you. I've had people come up to me and ask me this, and I'm going to take this question with you with pending applications. Some people say that their applications are still pending. They still haven't received the $750. I guess my question to you is when can they expect to receive that immediate assistance? And do you have any more tips on people who are navigating the assistance process with you all?
Yeah, so again, everybody's situation will be specific. Part of the $750 is once you register for assistance, we will send out an inspector to go validate the damages to your home. And once that's validated, that's when some of the programs start to kick in. And so part of it could be making sure that we are connecting with them and scheduling an inspection that works with their schedule, but then also getting the paperwork in for insurance, like how much is insurance going to cover. And so sometimes, some insurance companies will get them that paperwork quickly, some take a little bit longer. And so that's why we have our disaster recovery centers. And so they can come talk to one of our people, figure out exactly what they need. And if there's something we can help them get and help, make sure that they're getting the right paperwork, we can upload that paperwork in our system right at a disaster recovery center. Very specific to each person. Once you get everything in, it's like 24 to 48 hours, right? But it's getting all of those pieces of paperwork and the inspection done.
Thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank y'all. Thank you. All right.
All right, so if you're just now joining us or joined us towards the end of that, we just watched a press conference between the director of FEMA and the Augusta Mayor Garnett Johnson, kind of providing some updates on recovery. So I'm just going to summarize a little bit of what we've heard before I end this stream. But some of the notes that I took, we had the city officials speak first, and we are on day 27 since Hurricane Helene. But in terms of debris, they said that 408,000 cubic yards of debris have been removed. The mayor said he does estimate about 2 million yards of debris to be removed at the end of this, so there is still a long way to go, but 408,000 cubic yards of debris is surely a lot. And it also say 80 trucks are in the area removing all of that debris. And then we also heard that the utility systems are all functioning normally, which is always great news, and that recycling services are temporarily paused right now. When they got to talking about debris removal and waste removal, they also mentioned that. Big news that they mentioned was that all traffic signals in Augusta are functioning and operational. They said the only thing is now fixing those times on them. So if you're like me and you've been stuck at a red light a little bit longer than you'd like to be, and you're like, dang, this light hasn't changed in so long, I've been here for a while, that is what they're working on next. But all of the street lights in Augusta, all the traffic signals are operational, just working on getting those times correct. So then we heard again from FEMA Director Deanne Criswell, excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but she was here and spoke with some city officials and kind of scanned the area and saw some of the damage, and said that $159 million has been given out so far, and 330,000 people have registered for this assistance. The mayor did say that in Augusta, 60,000 relief registrations had been applied for. And then she did say that they have around 200 FEMA officials kind of canvassing the area, trying to get people to go and get the assistance that they need, as well as the disaster relief centers that they've been opening and having around the area to go and sign up and speak with somebody in person and get that you need. So those were the bigger updates. She just kind of acknowledged the need here and said that they really just want to do anything that they can to help anybody here. So if you need that assistance, there are the in-person options, or they are going to be canvassing the area. And she just basically was saying that FEMA is on the ground here in Augusta and had some notes on that I've just shared with you. But outside of that, that's all I've got for you right now. So we'll see you in our later newscast at 4 o'clock. Have a good day.